si puyo kistuno ni six gates tapi pikani wa ke ni chiko wa ka kena pikani ke connects mo po na gate si puyo. Good evening, everyone. Glad you can all join me. We are back at the Galt for week 2 for our Blackfoot. We are going to go into a different direction from what we did last week. If you were with us last week, oh, 6 me, by the way, I'm drinking mint tea. Oh, last week we covered a whole lot of material in that. Basically, what we really covered is that how Blackfoot has really shifted from a language that was taught at home traditionally, just like all language development, and how it's carried over to a very classroom setting. Blackfoot language has now have a written style that are trying to standardize the written style of Blackfoot using 13 symbols, using the Canadian alphabet for English. So the academic world, they researched it and they knew that we need to shift. We no longer attaining our language, our Blackfoot language at home through our parents' interactions and so forth, and that we have to kind of, if you want to save the language to the point now that, we can extend the deadline that they're predicting that the Blackfoot's going to disappear. So we're teaching Blackfoot now at the Head Start level, the kindergarten level, primary school level, 1 to grades 3, and then at the secondary level at the elementary, all the way to high school. And then also too, some of the institutions, the universities and all, they offer Blackfoot in that. I just came back, in fact, yesterday, I was a guest instructor at the University of Lethbridge across the coulee here for their 1,000, 2,000 levels. And if you're on here, we invite you all to join us in that and some more Blackfoot. It's very interesting. When you start to look at, the First Nation language that is Blackfoot and that, it really gives the audience or somebody who's really unaware of the Blackfoot culture an insight as to how we view the world through our language. It's a different worldview, okay? When we interpret certain things, these ideologies and so forth and that, it's a different language description than you would in English. So tonight we're just going to jump right into it. We have a home. Yeah, we got a question.
Katie says, "What a gorgeous shirt."
Oh, hey, you know what? I just got to mention in that ribbon shirts at one time were the norm. For the men, for the women, and that ribbon skirts are very much their favorite attire when they're going. But men, seems to be the choice now. It's called applique. And the styles now, they seem to be going in this direction and that. So I want to keep wearing this one until it actually walks away. But it's beautiful. My niece makes these things. He's very gifted in that. For my Christmas gift, my niece. So anyways, Tiffany, good job. So we're going to jump right into our lessons tonight. We have lots and lots and lots of material we want to cover. Welcome, everybody. And then, just interject, if you feel that you need to ask a question while we're going to that. Kristen is right over there, right, just ready to, to join you on the spot for any questions and that. But we are going to have at least a 20-minute to half-hour question period. So if it can wait tonight, but if it's just like chomping at the bit and you want to ask that question, feel free to text Kristen. So thank you for the Galt. Now, the name Akasamitokanop kind of refers to, this place has been here. It's been a meeting place in that for longer than Lethbridge has been Lethbridge. And Akasamitokanop and that. It's this river valley down here. So, I think that's, I'm not too sure what the interpretation is in that, but Internal gathering. Eternal gathering. Yep. Thank you, Makuibaka, for that name. So we're going to jump right into it. I keep saying that, but boy, I just love this tea. So, as language teachers and as speakers of the language, myself in particular, in that I learned Blackfoot at home. Um, everybody in my home, growing up as a little child, and they all spoke Blackfoot. My mom and dad, they just spoke the language. And anybody that came to visit, um, we went down to our grandparents who were just a short drive away, and anybody that comes over and that, they always dialogued in Blackfoot. You know, there was just a lot of dialogue, between them and that. And as children, of course, they provide us with, the boundaries of our houses and that. So we're not to touch the stove or, certain things and that. And it was all in Blackfoot. So growing up and that was the dialogue that I heard all throughout my childhood and that. So the first words that came out of my mouth, of course, it was just going to be Blackfoot. And the world that was described for me was in Blackfoot, right? So growing up, that's my exposure to English wasn't until I went to school as a 6-year-old and that. But my English was very little. So Blackfoot, I was quite very well versed in Blackfoot and that. Now, I always share this and that, and I think I've heard some more numbers, but with the statistics that's happening out there with the Canadian government, they figured the Blackfoot language in that is going to disappear within the next 10 years and that. And I think I just shared this with you in that we're trying to extend that, that date and that to another 25 years or for internal and that. And that's why we have these classes and that. This is going to be online and it's going to be available till, anybody can access to it, and especially the young children, okay? You're going to have access to this and that. But I tell you, our numbers are very, very low in that. In the year 2010, the last census, 2,000 speakers left out of the 50,000 memberships out of the Siksika, Kaena, and the Picani. The Picani, of course, they're split into Amskapi and Abatosi Picani. That's just 2,000. So if you look at a pyramid, like a structure like this, at the very top are your speakers, which is just a little bit, just this tiny little bit, and you got this whole space underneath in that. We need to change that gap, and so that, we have a bunch of speakers up here and that, right? And I love what's happening in our communities, in all communities and that. They're offering Blackfoot at all levels, kindergarten, Head Start programs and that, just inundated with all the Blackfoot and that. Okay, let's jump into it again. So our first word of today is, of course, oki. Oki, which literally means hello. Now, that's the Western interpretation of oki. We're saying hello and that. But if you take that back into the days of the teepee and that, it really means welcome, right? So when a person comes in front of a person's teepee, Nitoyas, right? Moyas. He's going to announce himself, and he's going to go like this. He's going to clear his throat, announcing that, he's standing in front of the teepee, and he has, he wants to go into the teepee and meet with the person in there. Once the person on the inside of the teepee says, okay, and then you have access, and then you open the door and that, and you go in, and then, of course, once you say that okay and that, and then you start to have some dialogue, right? But today, we always say, oki tsanitapi. Oki tsanitapi. What does that mean? It's a, oki, how is everything? Tsanitapi, okay? And it's something that's kind of universal in that. I even say that too amongst when I see my friends. Okay, tsanitapi. And it covers everything, right? Tsanitapi. How's your health and that? How's your family? How are yourself personally in that? Tsanitapi. It's a very broad statement. Tsanitapi. And that person, you can say, I just won the 649. Or, I won the Super Bowl. I won the Super Bowl pool. It's a very broad And if he's not well, maybe if he's close enough to you and that, he'll tell you that, I'm not well and so forth. And it creates dialogue, right? It's that person who receives that message and that, he can respond health-wise, how his home is. I'm excited to see my children go off to college, So, yeah.
Rebecca says, okay, Sonita.
Oh, Rebecca, sanitapi, X kay sukapi. X tuiba X tanat sukapi. So, it's a very broad statement, and it covers everything in that, So the response sometimes, if it's a speaker, if that person that really wants to, share some personal information in that, it's a very broad statement, right? Sanitapi. So, if you go to a person and you say hello or oki, sanitapi, that person in that, if he wants to share with you how his health is, he's got too many bills to pay, he's got assignments at the university and so forth, he'll share that with you, okay? And of course, the response to those is, where are we?
I should go to see you later.
Yep. It goes, okay. And then, of course, sometimes, if it's just a real short little, just, sukapi, sukapi. Oh, okay, yeah, it's good. You don't want to say, you know what? I want to hear more. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one here is ge damatsin. Ge damatsin. Blackfoot does not have a word for goodbye. Okay? We don't say goodbye to each other in that. So if that person in that, when you're leaving, you're gagdamstama. We will see you later. Okay? Indicating that, you're going to separate, you're going to go do your things during the week, and somewhere along the line of that, you're going to cross paths. Sukapi, and blah, 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 right? Say that. Again. Okay? And, of course, now this is for kind of like we don't want to know somebody's name. What's that? I can just put it right here? Okay. Am I still on? Okay. Okay, so then there's all kinds of questions you want to ask this person and that. And, this is something that, as somebody who's much older, I really respect, the space of individuals and that. And this one here, you just have to say it, is Tsa Gitsinska Sim, right? Tsa Gitsinska Sim. If you don't know this person, all of a sudden it gets skakes and what's in it. Mr. Delaney, Julius, go to get sinukpads. For the life of me and that, sometimes, you meet these people when they're teenagers, and all of a sudden 5 years later and that, and they've grown, they've got beards and so forth. You don't recognize them, right? But they know you. And, so you have that, okay. That's another way. But the proper way, I'm going to say it right in here, Sa gitsinska sim. Sa gitsinska sim. That's what you say, right? What is your name, right? The other one, Sa gitaniku. It's almost saying that, who told you? Okay, it's to go and get some tea for Kristen, right? You were told something, right? So the proper way, this stick, Tsa gitsinska sim. Tsa gitsinska sim. Tsa gitsinska sim. What is your name? And, I already got cold over there. Oh, you know what? It's a good thing I have a toque because I hardly have any hair here. Then the response is, now, normally Sim to a Blackfoot, right? Here's another one. Ni chi sim, meaning my Blackfoot name. Ni chi sim. And then you say your Blackfoot name if you have one. So in Nistum, if somebody says this to me, sim, I would say in response, Nitsinska sim be desisaksinam. So now it seems to be now, we would just say my name is, but we need to indicate now almost my Blackfoot name, which is Nitsi. What does that translate to? My true name is, because when we say Nitsi Bochsin, the true language, right? So it's my true name, right? And on the opposite side of that, Julius. The not big ones, that's what they call me. Huh? Yeah? Any questions so far? Good? So, very, very broad. Usually they, nowadays and that with our speakers and that, they'll ask two questions, right? Julius. Oh, right? What is your real true name? Or what is your Blackfoot name in that, right? And if you have a Blackfoot name out there, share it, when you're in ceremonies, when you're at powwows, and somebody wishes to know who you are in that, say your Blackfoot name, your true name. And then if that's what you say, my true name is. And that's what that interprets to. Okay, now here's one. I love this question because we have just so many diversity here in that, we need to know these things too sometimes. We meet somebody that's a Blackfoot descendant. We always ask them, where are you from? Right? In a sense that, where is your community? And then this person will say, Pikani. Oh, okay. And then in my mind, I can picture this person being from that community of Pikani. Or he'll say, Sitsaga, right? But the question is, Tsima, where? The gi indicates second person. Right? Try to say that. Yeah, you got that guttural sound. Remember we were talking about that? It's a throat sound, the H. Okay? Comes right from here. Just practice that sometimes too, because it's hard. Because sometimes it's in the middle word, right? And it's, if you're not familiar with that kind of sound, then don't choke on it, okay? Let me just have a quick shot of my tea.
Katie says, do I hear a sneaky N in that? Like sa gitsin gasim, like the introduction.
Yeah, there's a kind of an M. Sim. Yeah.
Gitsin
Sim. Sim. Am I saying it kind of loud, or am I just elevate my voice? Sim. Okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Good, yeah. So don't say the other one. I'm not going to say it in that because that's what you'll probably say in that. If I see you saying it, I'm going to go over there and I will. No. I went to residential school, remember that. So, the response is, of course, Sima ki tu. And then the person says, oh, ni. So the person will say ni. Na. First person, we're talking about this person. Ni tu. Ni tu. I am from myself, ni tu Ghana. Okay? And that's macro. If you're micro in that, we have communities in Ghana, and a person from Ghana would tell, and I would say, which is a community that's in old agency and that, and then somebody within that community, they get understand, and they'll say, oh, it's sweet tapi. Then those people that are from the Laverne area and that, right? That's where they would live, it's sweet tapi. And then, of course, we call the community of standoff, tatsiki tapi, the central people. So not going to in those communities, if you're asking somebody within the community, or if you're just asking a person you're unfamiliar with, oh, pikani. Oh, or siksika. Oh, 13th Avenue. Oh, okay. Right? Where are you from? Right? And there's another word too in that, and that's another one. Here is another. I love this one here. It's been like this for me every morning. Ita mix kanatoni. Ita mix. Like you're mixing something. Ita mix kanatoni. Ita mix. Good morning. Ita mix kanatoni. When I used to do the announcements and that at the school over the intercom where I used to work, and that, oh, ita mix kanatoni pukax, or ita mix kanatoni seipui, then you make your announcements, right? Ita mix kanat. It's a greeting, okay? If you say oki, you can pair that up with ita mix kanat. I could see man. Ita pita mix kanatoni, especially in kanatonis. Need how to say, not do so, need to ikutski natsi no mean no go. When I went up to Akipiskan earlier today, Sibka Kochputa, and I gave cheap, we extended to see natsi. And it's a sack me goonsku. That's an akin no soap. He damix kanatani. We're moving right along. Wow, I just love this tea. I was. It was really extended stoi. When you're cold, you say stoi. Now, here's something that it's a very general statement in that. It's sukapi. Okay? And the hand gesture, for when somebody is going to respond in this sukapi, it's just like you go from here and it just goes straight out in front and that. And some people just do a little chop like that. But for the most part, sukapi, okay? Sukapi. That's one of the hand gestures in that. And I think, it's universal in that. I've seen hand gestures by other community groups outside the Blackfoot Confederacy do that. Side up, suka. Well, not this, but, sukapi and that. When you go powwow these other communities and that, they seem to have that same gesture and that. So I'm thinking back at the days of the buffalo and that, when two groups of who have different languages and that, they must have had some kind of sign language, and that, right? And they communicated that way, the old sign language, Blackfoot sign language. So sukapi, how was your meal tonight? Standat sukapi. How was your trip that you went to Calgary? Standat sukapi and that. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Sukapi, So those are, that's the response. And when you see something good, standat sukapi. It's just a general statement. And of course, there's always the opposite to that, right? Matsukapi. We don't want to say that because we want everything to be very well. We want everybody to feel good about themselves, their community, and that. So when somebody says matsukapi, there is something within that person and that, whether it be their health, it's something within their family structures, or maybe their jobs or so forth and that, So matsukapi, it's generally that person, he's having some issues with himself or with his communities or something, right? Matsukapi. Oh, sorry to hear, hey? Matsukapi. I love this one. I love this one. Today suksukah. Anybody understand that? Today suksukah. Remember that? I got it. Today suksukah. Today suksukah. Did you have a good sleep? Oh my goodness, that's paramount. Everything that we have in that, we need to have a good sleep, at least a good 8 hours. If you're my age, you need about 10 hours, right? Some of us just probably need 4 hours, but you say, "G'day suksuk." Ah, good. Standard suksuk. Had a good sleep. G'day suksuk. Kristen, g'day suksuk. Sugapi, good. On that side, g'day suksuk. Jacob, anybody on that side? G'day suksuk. Yeah?
Good sleep?
You have a good sleep? Or are you sleeping now?
Oh, I don't know what. Can you look up there and see what Rebecca said to you?
Where is it?
Right here.
Is it in Blackfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says it's cold. You don't get the beat, boy. I'm going to call you. He's going to call you. You don't get the beat, boy. Huh.
Continue.
I can speak and read Blackfoot. Yeah. So this is just the same one as Tiny Dapi, right?
Our things.
I think we already did that one. And of course, Gistu Tsagatsinskasim, right? This is something that Gistu is a second person. Gistu, right? Gistu Tsagatsinskasim. So if a person is going to ask you, Tsagatsinskasim, and then you would announce yourself as such, Blackfoot or in English. And then my response to that, Gistu Tsagatsinskasim. So the Gistu means you, okay? Now this is what I kind of touched on. I'm not too sure if I did this or not. When I say ni stu, okay, that's me. Gistu is second person. Then you and I are talking about a third person. This is how you say that. Ustui, okay? Nistu, gistu, ustui. You got that? Ni, gi, u. Ni, gi, u. Right? Now listen to this. Nitsinska sim, and I know your name. Nitsinska sim, bitasasaksino. Okay? That's my Blackfoot name. Gitsinska sim, I'm going to use Kristen. Utsinska sim, Kristen. Utsinskasim. So there's a third person in that, right? Utsinskasim. And then we name that person, right? And that's how the ownership works. Ni, gi, and the direction is u. Third person. And there's plurals too in that, because understand we're only using nistu, right? Whereas if there's multiple of us in that, nistunnan, right? Nistunnan. Oh.
You're doing great.
Am I doing great? I wore the shirt specifically for you all here. Oh, now this one here, I tell you, we get told this quote quite a bit tonight, especially if you're a teenager or somebody who's up to no good. You tell that person, what are you doing? Especially nowadays, in that if you're monitoring your little ones on their iPads or their phones and that, this is probably a really good question to tell that person. What are you doing, right? You're questioning that person, his activity. What is it that you're doing? Now, listen to this one here. It's not on here, but let's say there was a group of boys or a group of girls or some children engaged in activity, and you kind of say, "Oh, what are they doing?" You would say this. This is singular. Plural. Boa. Just a little boa. You're directing your speech to a group of people now, right? Gidegich, one person. A group, gidegich boa, you know. And we get told quite a bit of that by our elders, and you know, the guy would come in, hey, gidegich boa, put those marbles away, you know. We're just playing marbles. If anybody knows what marbles are, it kind of tells you how old I am. Put those marbles away. What? Okay. So, gedekich, right? Gedekich boa. Huh? Rebecca, you probably get told that quite a bit. Gedekich. Okay, so here's something where we're talking about I am going, right? Now, remember, ni, I'm talking about myself, ni te te bu, I am going, right? Now, I'm going to write something right in here really quick. This is going to kind of help you with the this particular quote. I'm going to use black. Six and nuts. Any questions so far? No? That tea's delicious. You got to have another drink. So, anytime we have an A like this, we're talking about present tense. Okay? Present. Like right now, right? When you have this combination as your prefix, we're talking about a future tense. Okay? How do you spell future? I can't spell it.
F-U-T-U-R-E.
Future. T. E. Okay. So I can spell Blackfoot just like blah, 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 like that. But the moment I have to start writing English, it's kind of like, you know, if I was in class and I'd be smucked in the head already. So anytime you have the two I's together like this, okay, then we're talking about past tense. Okay? Where are you going? That means that, you know, right now, where are you going? I'm going to the 7-Eleven, right? We're telling that person, where are you going? In its present tense, okay? We tell them in its future tense, and I'm sitting there, I'm putting on my runners, it looks like I'm going somewhere, right? And a person would say, Sima kita kita pohp. Where are you going? Sima kita kita pohp. Ak, can you hear that ak in there? Sima kita kita pohp. And you say, you're none of your business, you know. No da kita pu, right? And that is the response, nitak kita pu. And then you're going to tell them your destination. And let's just use this. The first part of this, Sima kita tapu. Oh, ni te tapu, not ni te tapu. That's just it's present tense. The mall, okay? Where the ak is, Sima kita po. And I put it, oh, ni ta kita pu, the mall, right? So it's a future tense, and you're going to the mall, okay? I, Sima ki tsit tapo. Sima kita tsit. So meaning that, where did you come from? Where did you just come from? Where did you go, right? You know, you got all these groceries, and all of a sudden you got a brand new jacket, and so, where did you go? Oh, I went to the mall. Tsitapu. Tsitapu. That's the response. Each response accommodates the question. Current, past, or current, future, or past, okay? Your response to the things are always going to accommodate the question that's being asked. A, ak, and E, okay?
Katie said that she learned her first word of Blackfoot at the 7-Eleven.
I love the 7-Eleven, but don't supersize those drinks. Keep them down to a minimum, okay? Don't get that big gulp. Oh, it's right here. I will go. It's right here. Yeah. And I went to Nitsitapu. You already got these things. Oh my goodness. But understand that this is going to help you. The A, ak, okay? Ak, and then the E. if it has like E sound in there, you're talking about something that, okay, it's past and that, and your answer is going to be, in a sense, you're going to answer that you went, right? And then if it's ak, then your answer will be nitak, nita kitapu. Now understand that we're talking about singular. We start to put a suffix of plural in there, and it's a different question that's been asked, plurally. Sama kita kita pohpua. Where are you going? As a group, sama kita kita pohpua. And then my response, nita kita pohbinan. Nita kita pohbinna. The binna as your suffix. We are going to the mall. Nita kita pohbinan. Buenapsi. Kena may chitokpo. Nita kita itsikika. So that's how that works. Okay, it's just and it's right here. Nitsitapu, that's me. Nitsitapu buenapsi. Jitu sukiska spiktikitiki. Right? But if it's plural, nitsitapuch. What do you think the suffix sound? Nitsitapuch binnan. Nitsitapuch binnan. We all went to Progress. Boy, my favorite store in the whole wide world. Buenapsi, what? I grew up in Buenapsi. And I'm sure there's somebody in the audience that grew up there too. They got the best shirts and the best cowboy boots there. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I'm doing a commercial.
Not sponsored by.
We're not sponsored by. Okay, so here is which means where are you going? All right, we just covered that. Where are you going? Current. Where are you going? And of course, nite tapu buenapsi. Or nite tapu, my favorite. They're not Max anymore. What do they call? Circle K. Get them at nite tapu. Nite tapu. Now this one here, of course, we covered that. Where are you going? So the ak indicates it's a future. Where are you going in that? So, you could be packing up your bags, you're going to go on a trip, and a person's curious, and they say, sama kita kita po. And you'll say in your response, oh, nita kita po mohkins, apinakas. Tomorrow I'm going to mohkins. Or if you're, some of the ones that are rich, nita kita po, Disneyland. Oh, sukka, dago kita po kiyo. So that's, sama kita kita po. Singular, sama kita kita po buwa. The buwa is plural. And if your response is going to be binnan, nita kita po binnan, right? Binnan. Think of binnan, bin Laden. Nita kita po binnan. So every time you're going to do a plural for suffix, think of, what's that suffix sound? Binnan. Okay, here's what. Where did you go? Where did you go? Nitsitapu. That's the response. Right there. Where did you go? Nitsitapu. The mall. I went to the mall. And then of course plural. What do you think the suffix sound is going to be for the plural? Nitsitapuch binnan. Nitsitapuch binnan buenapsi. We went to Buenapsi. Can I have a quick drink before we?
Yeah.
Hey, this is the most awesome tea. Hey, I'd like to welcome, is it tourism left? Should I say that? What? Yeah?
Yeah? You can see
Okay, yeah. We'd like to welcome our second person that's part of this filming, and I do believe it's Tourism Alberta or Tourism Lethbridge. Yeah. And so they're here filming and that, so they're promoting some tourism and that, and I'm going to be their spokesperson. Hey, come to Sikohkutuk. Okay, so We've covered where are you going and that. We're always going somewhere, right? Nobody stays home. We're always going somewhere. We're going to school. I gotta go get some grow. We're always going somewhere. Bob. So, that's just be very, the A, ak, and then the E. And then, of course, there's the singular and the plural for groups and so forth and that, right? Okay. So, the culture of us and that, it seems to be doorbells and knocking on doors and that. When you have a visitor, right, of course, they're going to knock on the door or they're going to ring the doorbell. And their response, and they're going to look outside if you want to let that person in. I don't know if I want to let him in or her, right? To make sure that this person, you want in your house. You want that person to come in. You say, "Beat, come in." Beat, nice. Say nice and friendly. Beat. And if you want that person to come in right away, beat. Okay, but beat. Okay, one person. And you look outside, and there's several, and it's very easy to say plural for all of them to come in. Beak. Okay, did you hear that k at the end? Okay, beak. And then the group of them will come in. So singular is beat, one person. Beak, multiple. Yeah.
Does that mean that not all K's sound like B's?
Okay, not all K's sound like the G. Because remember we talked about
Like Ghana?
Gana. Okay. Now, how that works sometimes when you have this. Let me erase this. Where's my eraser?
Behind.
See, last week and I had a.
Use the bag.
Yeah, I think I used a bag or something like that. That's got eraser. Now, let's just go this really quick. The K usually has the G sound, right? G, like Gana, B, Gunny, like the G. When it's like in this combination right there, it takes on a different characteristic of that. It has that x, okay? X, like x, stucky, x. But you hear the S's more than you do the K, right? The x. And then there's this combination right here. The xi, okay? And then this one. But it doesn't really have that k, right? It's like almost like a x. Your mouth makes the S more than the K. With the K sound, it go k, right? This combination, look at how my mouth is. X. Your tongue is almost at the front of your teeth, right here. X. Stucky, right? X. And if it's plural, anything that's a plural sound will always going to have that sound. Ninex, right? Geeks, sakuma beaks, kipita geeks, bonagomitex, right? Bosix. It always have this x sound in that, all those plurals in that. The x. Yeah.
Does that mean that all P's don't sound like B's then?
No, all P's do sound like, because there's a p at the end of certain words. Like when there's a service that's going to be done, like when you go to a service, let's say a motel, or let's just say a restaurant, really easy word. Ito. You make that little puff of air, but you don't say ito, right? It's just a little slightly, it's almost like a breathless puff. Ito.
Like a guy's kami kano.
Yeah. So that op sound at the end, we're talking about a service that's being done, the service that they're providing and that. It always has that. A gas station. Itawaki dope. Itayu gope is a hotel motel, right? Ito yop. Ito sohpum mope, right? It's a service that we have, and that the mope indicates that it's a place that provides service in that. Right? Is the place that's just called and that. Itaps sapyop. meaning that we come in and we watch and we look at, things that are hung on the walls or displayed. That's sapyo. Yeah.
Katie asks for present, future, past.
Yeah.
Does the AI or like the AI, AAK, and II always go in the second part of the word?
It's always going to be somewhere within there, but for the most part, it'll be at the very beginning of the word. Ak, right? Just like we were saying in that, gidetamatsin, all right? Well, I might as well say it here. When we say gitamatsin, that ak, gi, second person, gitak, gitamatsin. Ak is in there, right? But it's a future tense. We're going to see each other somewhere down the, in the future. Gitamatsin, right? Gitamatutatsio is another one. So, anyways, we're way off. So,
We're on go outside now.
okay. So, beat,
Take a drink.
take a drink. I am. Where's my tea? Yeah, Sixakimi, which is a new drink that was brought by the British. Tea, yeah? Only in Canada. What is that, Red Rose? Yeah.
It's Red Rose Wild Mint
Yeah.
from our garden.
Ga Kitsimu, the mint.
You can taste a bit of dirt.
No wonder I'm kind of feeling a little dusty here. So, okay, so beat. We're asking these people to come in. One person is beat, plural, okay? All of them to come in. As, like if you're working as your supervisor in recess and that, you want them all come in, you yell out, Pukek, beak, nice and loud, beak. And you want that, this is my favorite word. Anybody own a bus?
Cat.
Yep. This is what I do to my cat. Okay, this is our next word. I take my bus, nice bus, sucks it. Okay, that's what that means. Go outside, sucks it. Okay, it's the cats and that. They're good for ganaskinas and so forth and that. But you have furniture, you have nice ornaments on your shelves and that. And they jump up there. So I always say, sucks it, go outside, sucks it. And it's a command in that, right? Children, we don't just tell them, sucks it, go outside and that. This is what we would tell children. So tauchkak, or so tauchkak. Children, go play outside, right? It's the command itself, sucks it. If somebody's in that's unwanted in your home, I would say that, sucks it. You get that people in them.
Get lost. Boy, now.
Yeah, buenaps, sucks it, send it to buenaps. But for my cat, or if your dog is all of a sudden wanders, sucks it. I actually had my dog, Bailey, if you're watching, remember Titan? He understood sucks it, because he always came in. The moment we left the door open, he comes in, he starts to sit around our furniture like he wants to watch TV. Titan, imita, sucks it. And he understands that word and that. He actually goes right outside. But the bus, you got to literally, sucks it. Oh, okay. Now, we're all doing singular in that. Kristen is over there. Kristen, boch sabut, right? Boch sabut. Come here. Now, Kristen over there has a team of about 4 people over there. And Kristen over here, that I got her attention. Kristen, boch sabuk. I know that book, boch sabuk, is plural. I'm asking Kristen and her entourage, her to come, right? Boch sabuk, right? Boch sabut, boot, right, is come here, one person. Boch sabuk, multiple. Hey, boch sabuk sakkumap. Hey, boch sabuk akikon. Boch sabuk, right? You want that person to come, of course, in your vicinity. Let's go back to that cat, that bus. Scratching around your furniture. And Mr. Boot, right? You give it a little boot tonight, Mr. Boot. Now again, Mr. Boot, it's kind of in a sense, it's a command. You don't want somebody to tell you Mr. Boot or that because, it really literally means get away, right? Get away from me. It's, I seldom hear that. I only hear that to shoo away their pets or, or something. But that's something I don't hear in that, but it's there. Mr. Boot, go away in that. If you're having some issues with a certain individual, right, you're not getting along, and all of a sudden you're faced with that person. Yeah, that's something you can say, Mr. Boot. It's, if I translate that to English, it's almost just like, get away from here, get away from me, Mr. Boot. And so that command and that, but it's there, if you're, there's some unwanted, somebody is interfering in the boundaries, your personal space, say that, Mr. Boot, Oxsat, Mr. Boot. Now, if it's Mr. Boot in singular, what do you think the plural sign would be? Anybody? Mr. Book. Mr. Book. Yeah, we can get into trouble by saying that.
Just kidding. They can't hear me. I'm a mic.
Okay, so where are we? Let me have another quick.
Have a little drink.
I am. Are we that far? What color are those? Blue? Blue? The blue, right? I got these mixed up.
You want me to do it while you do the drink?
Yeah. I got these mixed up. They're all. So Blackfoot, I love the fashion. I love the how we're delivering Blackfoot now and that. The films that we're watching right now, that you're watching, are going to be archived. And in the future, 100 years and so forth and that, or even 50 years down the line of that, our children, our grandchildren, can access these and it'd be right in front of them. A 100% speaker talking in Blackfoot. Tässä poki tsiipui, taakkotsinik ni tsiipuuksen. Nohkisitse koi, nikiskei pikani kuani ki pikana kiiks. Ni sitä pohpinona kiipeskaan. Ni tsiitussaat siipina, ni tyytiksuaatuipina. Estaja maksinissa, kenis kistunnona kitaorsenno, kistaissita piopi. Noportitsini katuupia kiipeskaan. Ni noportitsini kuukum auania kiipeskaan ni taapinstoapi manistei utuitsikatapimiksi inis. O tamennissi se kitatajoksini se kimiksia kiiksi taapi instaapu takia manistaissini pina. Mana kitsti paapana se mi ahtaa peikimiskauna. Se mitsi tuo kimi aktaksta bani mä skenstoa pi manistei utuitsikatapimiksi ini. Kena istunskatupia kiipeskaan ta penstoa pi manistaapu takipuami. Kena nohtistikatu. Yeah.
Katie asks, how can we tell when an O sound sounds like an oo sound?
The O sound is just like a oh.
She says like Mr. Boot sounds like runs more the root than teapot. Like how do the O's work?
Yeah, what you have? What's her name?
Katie.
Katie. Okay, so Katie. Anytime you have two double O's in it, it'll have that ooh sound, right? Here's the prime example. Boos, right? But if I just took it out, then it's just a little bit bo, right? It'll be like a bo. The O will take on a real short O, like an oki, right? Yeah.
But in Mr. Booth, it's only one O.
It should be two O's.
Then it just is a spelling, not a...
No, it's not. It's a spell. Yeah, Mr. Boot.
Rebecca asked you to talk on Old Woman's Buffalo Jump.
I did. I just did.
Oh, sorry, I was not paying attention.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, the old woman's buffalo. They dance to Rebecca. I keep scan. We don't want to skate up. I keep scan. Ni da bin stoa be man sta po the mix yaki. My take a understand what it's up and not see what it's stoa be. Eki sta be nikki sa ini. Kene is since skate up. I keep scan. Ni da bin stoa. But the one ya. Kene mai itsi itomata pa pio kia. Toman is tupia mix yaki kima nina. Kene mai. The first marriage happened at the women's buffalo jump. That's the legend. Kena magi tupukapi mi nina. And what that sinika si, eka khani tu mixi nina ex. Kapukapi mi ki. Ki mixi geeks. It's piso to you. Kama na kapukapi mama ki. Ki data baby mixi nina ex. Ki tawan so kapukapo. Kenikso ki awak tu Tinik sa waktu iksem watsimmi miksi olak pokapima. Kama ninna. Masa kakitsi matku kistim mawa. Matku na kiwa pita. Miksi mat spiso tu ke miksi akiks. Kena oksimita pekikini pui wakse. Wasa kita pui se kita nistapsi aptok. He turned into a pine tree because he wasn't selected in that. So you see a pine tree that's kind of in the meadows or all by itself, and that person was unable to find himself a wife, a lone pine tree in that. So just be careful, all you bachelors. It turned into a pine tree.
These ones are the ones.
Right here?
Yeah.
They're in order?
Yeah, we only have like 3 minutes left, and then we'll go questions.
Okay, so real quick, Marco beat. Sit down. Marco beat. Okay, sit down. Marco beak, plural. You have if you have an audience and you want to say to the audience, Marco beak, it's plural. Marco beak, Marco beak. And then, of course, when you have a classroom, you want them to all stand up and to sing the national anthem. Boo booyit. That's plural. Boo booyik. Plural. I mean singular. Boo booyit. Singular, boop-boyit, stand up, boop-boyik. And they all stand up and then they start singing, oh, Canada. Okay, boop-boyit. Now, we have doors. That's something that Blackfoot's always had, were doors to our teepees and that. We don't have Blackfoot, I'm going to share this really quick. We don't have Blackfoot words for wall. We don't have words for ceiling. And we don't have Blackfoot words for floor. Because we never had those things, and we didn't need to in that. So when we moved into these houses and that, we had gitsim, right? Gayinnit, gitsim, right? Gayinnit. And if you have multiple doors, you have a front door and a back door, gayinnik, gitsimix, open both doors in that. Gitsimix, right? That's the plural sound. Ukit, gayinnit. Ukit. Gayinit, ukit, right? Ukit gitsim. Close the door. Hikstoye. And here is a command. I love this command. If Tristan was to tell me this, uyit, oh yes, I get to eat. It's a command to tell you uyit, eat, right? Plural, what do you think the plural sound? Anybody want to guess? If it's uyit, me, what's the plural? Uyik. Ooh, yick.
We could have said that up there, and he would have thought we were so smart.
Okay, so the plural for, let's see, now this is eat. Now I've got this one. Simit means to drink. Simit. Simit to drink this. Simit. Oh man.
2 more cards, and we'll do questions.
Okay, 2 more cards. Simit and simic, and then here's my favorite one is cook it. Give it to me. Cook it. This object in that.
What is it when they tell kids to go? Go. Is that
Gago.
similar to the go get?
No, cook it means just give it to me. Gago means just go ahead, right? Gago. You know, if somebody, can I go use the bathroom? Gago, right? Can I go to the mall? Yeah, gago. Can I go to the movies tonight? Yeah, gago. Can I go cruise around? Gago. Can I use your phone? Sa. Okay.
Last one.
Last one is, of course, is kutsis. Okay, so I have, this is a command telling my son or telling my kutsis, not exist istepuyo, or kutsis goose. Give it to that person, kutsis. You know, he's got my pen, and he's got it in the head. Kutsis ishtasinakyo, not exist. Give this pen to your mom. Kutsis. Give it to him or her. Now, understand too that we don't have a he or a she in Blackfoot, or him or her, right? Esemi ochki. He or she is drinking water, right? You have to kind of indicate the person who's drinking water. Kristen esemi ochki. And we all know Kristen, right? Julius esemi ochki, right? If you just say nina esemi ochki, that man is drinking water. Okay, so we don't really have a he or she in Blackfoot. Right? There's no gender-based language in that where you have to say she, he. You know, it's something that's very inclusive. Everybody's inclusive, but we have to indicate your subject that this person is drinking. Oksimi. No.
Put him down.
Put him down. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, so I don't want to.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, you guys are going to figure it out? Okay. All right, question period. Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank Akasumitoch and the staff here, Kristen, Jerem over here, and of course, yeah, Aaron, and then, yeah, and they're on the other side of there, just like making faces at me. I can't see, but thank you all the staff, having me a part of the the staff and sharing the language in that. Language is who we are. If I just sit up here with my drum and I say, what does that tell you about me as a person, as a Blackfoot speaking person in that, right? We have different descriptions, we have different values that we have. We live within these values, and
Next week is values.
oh, in fact, next week we're gonna do all our values. So join us in that. Values are what we would call the social norms that we live by in that, right? We all have bylaws that we all have to abide by, right? If you don't follow these bylaws, there's consequences in that. We have what we call social norms that are called values in that. And we're going to discuss those next week in that. Within the values is how we live in a community, right? And you begin to understand, how the chieftainship, the leadership, by living these values, okay? Okay, let's do some questions. But thank you, Aaron, Jerome, Tristan, and everybody else that's involved in that. Even the guy who pays me.
Mr. Bucks. Katie asks, I recognize Gecko from Haley Heavyshield's work on the Telus building, which is downtown on 4th Avenue.
Oh, go. Yep.
But she says, I think it says, the English on that panel says do it. Is there...
Yeah, well, it's, like I said, there's many interpretations. It's not just one interpretation of that. They say, kako means go ahead. Do it, yeah. But it means you've given the authority for that person, kako, just to go ahead, right? It's almost like, can I go for a hike, or can I go to the mall and that, right? It's a response for that request, kako, right? Go ahead, do it, yeah, kako, do it.
Everyone's just thinking, I have a question.
Oh, Tristan has a question.
What is something beyond Oki and Gidamutsin that you wish that was like an everyday vernacular for people to know in Blackfoot?
Okay. You know what? And this is something that I really, it's a hard word. Gikiksamatsin. I'm really glad to greet you. Gikiksamatsin. It's something that, I really like everybody to, when you haven't seen your your parents for a while, or you haven't seen your friend. Should I spell it out here? You know, it's something that, you know, it's like you're thankful, right? Hey, you know, another thing too, in that I think I shared this with everybody. You know, clapping your hands after somebody speaks and that, it's something that's foreign to us. We don't clap our hands and that. We gesture like this, hey, right? So, gi indicates second person, right? Gi, right? Gi, ksik, gi. There's a little bit of a glottal, gi, ksik, gi, ksik. Okay, it's all going to be one word, but I'm going to break it down. Gi, ksik, ksi, gi, ksik, ksi, gi, ksik, ksi, ma, tsim. Gi, ksik, sim, ma, tsim. Okay, the M sound is that you're very grateful, you're thankful, you know, that you've seen this person. Ksik, sim, ma, tsim. Hey, gi, ksik, sim, ma, tsim. That's something, you know, like I just so good. I don't see, you know, our families, we get so busy and yeah.
Next question is, or somebody just said that they want to send you all their respect, love, and gratitude.
Hey, thank you. Sugapi.
How
So
do you say thank you?
really don't have a word for thank you, and that just say, my grandfather one time said he was given a gift, or he was at a powwow, and he's a real, you know, he doesn't speak he doesn't speak English. All he speaks is Blackfoot. And somebody came over, and he must have heard the other person. He says, how do you say thank you? I want to say thank you to your grandfather. And my grandfather understands English, right? He just says sugapi. So, you know, like you just say sugapi. But also, too, instead of saying always a thank you and that, just go like, hey, you know, that, you just internalize those gifts and that, hey, sugapi, you know. I was gifted over like yesterday. No, not yesterday. When did we go to Calgary? Tuesday. What's today? Thursday. Yeah, the other day we were gifted, right? And Charlie didn't say thank you. Well, he said thank you in English and that, but he first like this, sukapi. So, you know, if you're grateful, you know, for something and that, do this gesture. You know, you could, because you've received a gift, or, you know, there's something that was given to you, like a compliment. You did really well. Rather than saying thank you, hey, sukapi. You know, so you're showing your gratefulness, and you're taking, you know, that positive energy that they gave you, and you bring it to yourself. Hey. Does that answer your question for thank you?
Is there a Blackfoot word for pure water?
Pure water?
Yeah.
Probably is nowadays, and because our water is not pure anymore, eh? So something that's really pure and real, I would say it like this, okay? So your suffix is going to be ohki, right? I think let's just use this black.
Like the blue dye.
Yeah. So the suffix of the word is going to be ohki, right? That's water. Ohki. I can spell water. So ohki. So your prefix is going to be just a very ni tap. It's going to be right there. It's going to be a glottal stop. Ni tap ohki. Pure water.
That's her name, Kathleen.
What is it? Pure water. Ni tap ohki. Yeah, ni tap ohki. Meaning that it's a very pure form of water in that. Our waters are not that pure anymore in that. Yes.
Katie Wild asks, what's the word you're saying after the gesture when you say tsa?
Oh, sugapi. Hey. Now, make sure that when you do this gesture, kind of say, hey, sukapi, because with this gesture and that, you're giving thanks to you and that, and you're really internalizing that positive energy that was given to you, whether it be a compliment or a gift, right? Hey, sukapi, right? Because, like I've been asked lots of times and that, well, how do you say thank you and that? Well, like when you observe individuals or when they receive compliments, or like it's cake somewhat, hey, somewhat,
Just give everyone a little kiss on the forehead.
yeah, hey, yeah, and just pound it.
Everyone said sukapi.
Soak up, hey, all that positive energy. I can feel it coming through the cameras. Hey.
Any questions from the team? Do you want a Tourism Lethbridge cameo? We have 15 minutes.
Maybe just for our sake, when you introduce yourself, often it's kind of important to talk about what your name is, your lineage a little bit, where you come from.
Ah.
Maybe speak a little bit
Okay,
to
so
that in the Blackfoot culture.
So, I want to introduce myself. There's two ways to introduce yourselves in that, because we live in a Western world, but we're also, we are the indigenous people in that. We have our own language in that. So, as indigenous people in that, you can say Nistoakok, if you're talking to an audience, but if you're talking to an individuals, oh, okay, Nitsinskasim. You're just indicating my name is. But because we live in a world that's Western, we have two names. Nitsinskasim could mean just the name that was given to you that's registered on your license, right? Nitsinskasim. So we have to kind of shift our language to indicate Nitsitsitapinchkasim, my true or my Blackfoot name, okay? Then you would say your Blackfoot name, like this. If I'm just going to introduce myself as such, somebody who's registered with the Alberta government and so forth, Nitsinskasim Julius, right? And then if I introduce myself in my indigenous language, identify myself, I'll say, Nitsitsitapinchkasim, my Blackfoot name, my true name, and then I would say it, Pitesisaksinam. Pitesisaksin. And then Nitsinskasim, Nitsitsitapinchkasim, right? Nitomchtu, it's like you're saying, I am from, okay? Sometimes you really have to kind of micro yourself where you actually come from. Nitomchtu tsitapi, right? Meaning that I have just said, I am the people of Gaina. Nitomchtu tsitapi Gaina, right? So you indicate a very personal, this is where I am from the people of Gaina, right? Whereas if I just say, Nitomchtu, I am from, then I'll just say Gaina, which is just a place, right? Nitomchtu tsitapi, it's a very, you really identified yourself from the people of Gaina, right? Nitomchtu tsitapi. Sometimes too you can introduce yourself according to your family. Nitomchtu tsitapi ape tsitsikin, the weasel moccasins, or Nitomchtu tsitapi, the Delaneys. Can I say, that's where I come from, the family, right? So, we really have to, in a sense, speakers nowadays and that we interpret our words Western, right? We really westernized the interpretation of our language. At one time there was just Nitsipos and that. You would just say Nitsinskasim and that. You don't identify yourselves as Nitsitsitapinchka. My true name is and that. That's what happened in that, with the westernization of us and that. We once lived in Moyes, which is just a lodge, right? So now we live in Anapuyas, which is, like the houses that we live in. So then we identify ourselves now as ni tuyas, the teepee, right? The ni chitapi is part of your prefix word. Ni tuyas, the true home, right? Does that answer your question, Jerome?
Yeah.
Follow-up?
Further to that,
Yeah.
how is your Blackfoot name interpreted? How did you?
Okay, so
Who gives
most
it?
names, depending, mine is a family name. So my uncle, so through his knowledge, he knew my grandfather, John Delaney. I just took his name, and that was a family name in that, right? And most names are that. If I was, all my children that have names given to them by our grandfathers or grandmothers, not only, the men, but grandmothers give names too, right? Our grandmothers, they have the rights to give names to their granddaughters or their grandsons and so forth, right? It's not just a man thing in that, the women are, and most names in that are based on, like, all our Blackfoot names are within the family structures in that, right? But if you go outside those family structures in that, and a person has requested a Blackfoot name, right? He's going to approach an elder. I can say, I wish to have the Blackfoot name. The elder would think, okay, but he'll question that person. Who are your family? Oh, okay. If he has knowledge of that family, that he can, look into maybe possibly bring it out an old name and bring it back to life to that person. Or if he's unfamiliar with the person's family background or whatever, he will look into himself personally. Okay, what have I done during my lifetime, right? Where have I been? What have I done? Let's say I went across the ocean, and while I was crossing the ocean, I was singing a Blackfoot song, right? So then during that, okay, I can call this person Apamienshki, singing across the ocean, right? That's something that he experienced and that he just transferred that onto that person. Because Blackfoot's very descriptive. It's a very descriptive language, there's certain individuals that are non-community members. They have Blackfoot names based on that elder, his experience, right? And his knowledge and so forth and that. And he gave these Blackfoot names. And it's very important because our Blackfoot, we map our communities in our language. These communities that are around us right now, like right here, this building, of course, we call it Galt, but we have to give it a Blackfoot name, right? The internal gathering place, so we have to give it a Blackfoot name. The community, the city of Lethbridge, okay, we call it Lethbridge, but we don't conform, to the Lethbridge. We have to map it out ourselves because it's in our world, right? It's in our community, so we call it Sikohkutuk, the Black Rock. And all the communities surrounding us and that, they have, they're mapped out, accordingly, Fort McLeod and so forth. But we also have to give knowledge to these places that are born here and that. Fort McLeod, Akapius and that, right? And same with the names and that. We have to switch over from our English name, Nitsapinchkasim, that's how you say my white man name. Nitsijitapinchkasim. They're always contrasting in that, right? Hopefully that answers your questions. Yeah.
Any last questions from either of you that you would like put on?
How do I look on TV?
One more.
Pretty good.
You look great.
Hey. So, think of the indigenous people in that as people that the language is right from here. The English came into our area. We had to adapt to it. The systems of government that were, right? We had to adapt to a lot of systems in that. So everything that was brought, it was all new, right? So think of a society, you visit the museums such as this, and you go back to the days of the teepee. We went to visit, the Buffalo Jump. Yeah, it was a very Stone Age civilization, where we actually used stones to pound, and then we used some of the bones of the animals to cut that. We traded with other tribes for their materials so that we can cut better and so forth. Yeah, it was a civilization that existed right here. And if you look at some of the archaeological digs and finds and that, particularly the one in Majorville, it's a huge rock formation in that. It's no secret who built that. It was the indigenous people in that. They gathered rocks from the river banks, and they carried them up almost 5 kilometers up the hill to create this, this formation in that. And I'm going to say this in that it's older than the pyramids of Giza. While they were building them over, they're still trying to figure out who built them and that. But here, we built those monuments. Mummapi, they call them TP rings or TP medicine wheels. And we say mummapi. The mummapi, something important occurred, mummapi and that. There was an occurrence of some kind of importance. That's why we have those rocks, mummapi. And then of course we have stories that relate to the rock. We have stories that relate to other things. When did the horse come to our territory? We have those stories in that. They weren't written. Echinikatupia. Hanya. And let's break for a commercial. Oh, yeah. Hanya. Hey, thank you. Who's winning the hockey game? See, I'm a Western guy. I'm indigenous, but I'm also a hockey parent, and I love my hockey. And I love my Levi's.